Welcome back to Beyond IC, the show where we talk to students about their different study abroad experiences through Ithaca College. I'm Ashley Kane, and today we'll be talking about the IC London program.
Dr. Megan Callahan is the IC London Program Director. She works with the Associate Director and Program Coordinator to manage faculty members in the IC London Center. She helps schedule classes, extracurricular activities, and work placements. She's lived in London for 20 years and it's her fourth year as the director of the program. Listen as she shares the application process, student misconceptions, and what to know before applying. Dr. Callahan, welcome to Beyond IC.
Thank you, Ashley. It's nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. So, for students who may have heard of the IC London program but don't fully understand what it offers, how would you describe the program in a nutshell?
Um, I would say that it's your Ithaca away from Ithaca. We have a center here that the school owns, which is great. We've been here since 1972 as a study abroad program, and we've been in the same building since the early 80s. So we have been here a long time, and the best part of our center, I think, is how much the students really feel at home here.
Definitely. And are there any misconceptions that students have about the program that you would like to address?
Um, Well, I mean, it's funny because obviously we hear from the students when they're here at the end of term, kind of in evaluations, or sometimes throughout the day as we're talking, and they say things like, I really thought it was going to be a lot easier, like the schoolwork was going to be so much easier. But there is a lot of work to do here. And I'm always thinking, yes, well, it's study abroad. Like you have to study when you come here. I know that people are also kind of terrified of our attendance policy, which is that you can't miss classes, which is true because we have to adhere to the rules of the UK government. So we have very strict attendance policy here. But at the same time, it's actually people get used to it. And I think people in the end usually appreciate the fact that we try and make sure everyone is healthy. We try and make sure everyone's coming to class because it's a little bit different when you're traveling abroad and you're living abroad. So we have open door policy here. We usually know all of the students by the end of the term. So that is something that I think people are they're surprised at how comfortable it is actually once they get into the rhythm.
Yeah, and it's worth it to go to class. There's so many academic classes
I
offered
agree.
to so many students of all majors.
Hmm.
And many academic programs even build the IC London program into their academic schedules.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're offering new classes every few semesters, right? So in our spring of 20, I guess it will be spring 27, we'll be having health classes here. So we're going to have a food in the UK class, and we're also going to have a performance psychology class. So those will be exciting and hopefully attract more majors from the health.
Definitely, and it sounds like any major could really take that course and
Oh,
it would
yeah.
be very
Yeah,
beneficial
they're
for
intro
them.
courses, and a lot of our courses also fulfill the ICC requirements.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, it definitely encourages all students to come to the program because it can fulfill those requirements as well. It's not even
Hmm.
just for your major. So
Yeah.
that's so cool. And you can participate in the fall, spring, and summer semesters. When do you
Hmm.
think is the best time to go?
Oh, I think that they're all good. I mean, the summer programs are short-term faculty-led programs. So those are a new initiative that we have. So this summer we're going to have osteopaths and we're going to have brass musicians in the center. And then the following summer, hopefully we'll run those again, but also be adding in a few other programs as well. Um, with the fall, you get the tail end of summer, which is really nice. So you get the longer days where the sun is going down around, say, 8, and then you're moving into kind of like cozy time of winter. Yes, it does rain. Yes, the sun will go down earlier, but you also have like the fabulous holiday lights. You have, the ability to go to like Christmas markets and holiday fairs and that kind of thing. And then with the spring, you are coming into the bloom and the blossom, right? So, like right now in all the parks, London is a very green city. So, cherry trees have been out, you have tulips everywhere. We just changed the time zone, so the sun is now starting to set around 7:30, 8 p.m. as students are winding up the semester. So, there's benefits to both, I would say.
Mhm. Yeah, and do you think it's like based on like what you're studying, on like which semester you should go, or is it just like whatever, as you were saying with the weather, like whatever you are interested in that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely students should talk to their advisors and to see and early on. So, like in your first year, if you're thinking about studying abroad, you should definitely be speaking with Rachel Gold and Mimi Wright in the Office of International Programs, and also be speaking to your advisors because, as you know, sometimes some classes are offered for your major. On only a certain semester, right? So you want to be able to plan that out and track it with your advisor. So some students might have to come in the fall, some students might have to come in the spring, depending on their curricular path.
Yeah, so it's better to start planning earlier than
Yeah,
later if you know you
definitely.
want to, go out to London and
Hmm.
study abroad.
Yeah,
Okay, good to
definitely.
know. Yes. And taking a little pivot here, I do want to talk to you about the application process. Can you explain to listeners what the application process is like?
So in the application process, we now have we have one deadline for all the programs. So whether you're applying to the fall or the spring, your application will be due it's around the week of February 15th. Rachel and Mimi have all the details there. And it's a pretty easy application. You go in through the app called Teradata and you sign up there. And it's really just a question of like uploading an image of your passport when the time comes, uploading your address, your parent or guardian's agreements. We have a housing form that you sign up, but it's quite a simple process, really.
Okay, so I know that the GPA and your academic standing like is really big when it comes to studying abroad and
Hmm.
like what makes like an application stand out and what tends to matter most then? Is it the GPA and the academic standing?
Well, you do need to have a GPA. I think I'd have to look it up to be honest. I think it's like 2.5 maybe or 2.8. You don't
Okay,
need
yeah.
to be a straight A student, but obviously, like you can't be on academic probation or anything like that. And we have space for many students here. And I think the applications that are going to get through are the ones that are on time, the ones that aren't written by AI, but have, a bit of the self in it and to tell us why you want to be here, what you're looking forward to. And also because I found that for students, it really helps if they take the time to think about why they want to come abroad. Because it's not just fulfilling like your ICC requirements, but how do you want to grow as a person? What do you want to learn about yourself? What do you want to learn from seeing a painting in a museum and learning about it that way in class, as opposed to reading about it in a book? So, like the experiential aspect of study abroad is really important because you'll be taking the tube to your classes, you'll be living on your own, cooking on your own in a flat kind of thing. So, I think that the reflective applications are also more interesting to read. But you don't have to write uh, pages and pages. The application is pretty simple, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I know I was talking to other IC London students, and it seems like there's this new sense of freedom when you go out there. You become even more of an adult than you are in college, and
Hmm.
you have more responsibilities, as you were saying, with like getting the
Yes.
tube to class and immersing yourself in a new culture, like why, as you were saying, like why do you want to study abroad? Like
Yeah,
it's a whole new world out there.
it is. And I think students also have to remember that it's not all about like Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok videos or not. Like it's it's not perfect. You have to be willing to face some challenges. You might be living with people you didn't know. You might not be used to sitting in a class for 3 hours, even though a lot of our classes take place outside of the classroom. And you might be homesick, you might get a little lonely, but we're always here to support students. And part of that, the ability to be uncomfortable, is what leads to growth as well. And that's something to remember too.
Yeah, and with that, like with like semester placement, is there a specific way you guys go about semester placement? Do students usually get the semester they prefer, or how does that work?
Yeah, so students usually get the semester that they prefer. The only reason we have introduced our ability to like shift semesters is to balance numbers. So if we had something like 50 applications for a fall and 130 for the spring, it would be really hard for us to manage up 130. So we're reserving the right, if necessary, to move a student into the fall. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. A student might say, well, I can't go in the fall because that's the only time this class is offered for my major. So we'd say, okay, then, you come in the spring. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really good to know. Like you work with the students and what they can do. It's not about like competition almost. It's like what's best for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a competitive environment.
Yeah, definitely. And my last question, what is one thing you would want students to know about the program before applying?
Um, I think, as I said, I would want them to know that it is a very exciting place where you can learn a lot of new things about yourself, but also to have the ability to, walk down a street in London that's really rich in history and to make connections across your classes, because you might be taking a class one day that is in the National Gallery for paintings. And then the next day you might be on a football pitch because you're taking sports in the UK. And so the contrast there and the ability to take something that maybe you've never thought of. So I'm trained as an art historian. So some of my favorite students when I teach art history are like business majors or physical therapists, because they haven't engaged in the same way as a humanities major, perhaps. And so they bring these really fresh ideas and ways of thinking. And I just want students to know that we really welcome curiosity here, and we welcome people who have, a sense of adventure and willingness to try new things, and to be a little bit uncomfortable sometimes when they do that, and come out really enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely. Like really put yourself out there and immerse yourself in the experience and
Yeah.
try something that maybe you didn't think you were interested in and then you fall in love with.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a great way to learn and such a great freedom you have when you're a college student.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Callahan. Thank you so much for joining us. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
the time. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for reaching out, Ashley. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me.
Rylan Serrano is a junior acting major. He participated in the IC London program the fall of his junior year. Hear Rylan talk about the housing selection process, what to pack, and how the IC London program contributed to his growth as an actor. Rylan, welcome to Beyond IC.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
So the Ithaca College London Center is an integral part of many theater students' experience here at Ithaca College. As an acting major, you attended the fall of your junior year. How did going in the fall shape your growth as an actor?
I think, honestly, the best part of it was that it was just such a major reset from the slog of being on home campus. I love home campus, but and while we didn't have many performance classes, I think the only performance class I took was stage combat. Other people took physical comedy as well, but if we went to London, we were required to take stage combat, theater immersion, and theater walking tour, which theater immersion and theater walking tour are open to, I believe, all majors, which if you can take them, take them. Theater immersion gets you free, included with your tuition tickets for amazing shows.
Yeah, Is there one class that benefited your education most?
Theater immersion or Shakespeare were definitely some of the classes that gave me the most education towards my acting work. Getting to learn the Shakespeare canon and history and seeing Shakespeare shows. That's another thing about the Shakespeare class is that you also get tickets for shows. Very good shows.
Yeah, and from my understanding, the IC London program is built into your academic plan. So how much flexibility did you have in choosing whether or not to go?
So I had a lot of flexibility. The main concern, quote unquote, was just cost. Because there are some people who can do the acting BFA within 3 years. It is very hard, but you can do it. And I think London kind of gives you that extra year. But even if you don't go to London, there's still, you can still take 4 years, but it's just helps with pacing a lot.
Yeah, definitely. It probably broke up the college experience for you to experience a new city and explore. How did the location of the program play into your decision going?
I mean, I'd never been outside of the country before. I had to get my passport to go to this. It was such an amazing experience living in a city. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, which, yes, it is kind of a city. It's not the same. Not the same as being in New York, London, Chicago, any of those areas. And being able to go out, be an adult, and you're truly on your own. Well, yes, we're on our own here and have our dorms and whatever, but being in an apartment in the middle of everything. Anywhere you want to go is usually no more than 30 to 40 minutes away on public transportation. You can go to Tesco down the street, which is one of their kind of convenience stores. Also has bigger stores like Walmart.
And I really want to talk to you about the class registration process. Most students focus their curriculum around 12 credits of experiential coursework, which includes lectures, discussions, intensive readings of British drama, and weekly theatrical walks through London streets, theaters, and museums. Is the class registration process at the same time as the rest of campus? Is it as competitive?
This actually was a little hiccup for me because I had a registration hold when I was supposed to do this. I believe we get to register a little earlier than other people. But because of how small the class sizes are anyways, it doesn't really benefit or hurt whenever you get to register. I wasn't able to register for 2 weeks after everyone, but I still got all the classes I wanted. They may not have been at the same times that I wanted them, but for the most part, I got everything I wanted.
Yeah, definitely. How many classes were you taking?
So I was taking theater immersion, theater walking tour, Shakespeare. I had voice lessons, which technically was a class, and British art tutors to Turner, and stage combat. So 6 classes.
Gotcha. And how is that work-life balance with, trying to explore a new city and then also trying to manage your course load?
So the classes there are much longer. It's about, I think, 3 hours.
3 hours per class?
Or 2.5 to 3 hours, yeah. Yeah, and so you're busy from 10 to 5, usually, which you get lunch. And it was really nice because, this is not TMI, but I personally had a very bad video game addiction and procrastination, but I wasn't able to bring those things with me to London, and it really helped me reset my mental health, get my work ethic back together, get my sleep schedule back, and just get my social life kind of in control. But it was great because you only have classes Monday to Thursdays. Fridays we have off. Usually people take that time to travel or go other places. And as long as you stay on top of it, you can easily get the work done. Some people had a little more intense classes with essays and other things or bigger projects, but for the most part, it was pretty lax on my part. But I still did procrastinate a little bit.
Yeah. No, of course. Procrastination is such a big thing, or such a common thing around us students and everything. And how are your teachers with how did they react with your with the class schedule and try to help you out as you went along in this semester and stuff?
Most of the teachers were very helpful. I personally have accommodations through SAS, and those do carry over while you are in London. It's a little different because you do have to talk with Megan, the program coordinator, and each teacher individually. But for the most part, they've become used to it. And even if you don't have accommodations, most of the teachers, as long as you just are open with them and communicate, they will give you an extension.
Yes, definitely. And with that, I know you mentioned the social aspect, and I wanted to talk to you about your housing. All IC London students are housed in double rooms in an apartment, or as Londoners would call it, a flat. There are studios shared by 2 students or 2 or 3 bedroom apartments shared by 4 to 6 students. So when you approached the housing process, did you request a roommate or did you allow the program to assign you one?
So I just went completely random. No one in my house, no one in my room. And it was a fun experience. I had gotten 2 roommates that I did somewhat know, and then 3 roommates who I knew nothing about. Never heard of them, never seen them, but we all got along for the most part. Everyone has different living habits. I hate to admit, I was a little on the messy side, but eventually, we all made it through.
With that, Rylan, thank you so much. I want to go to our podcast game segment. Are you ready?
Oh, am I ready?
Okay. As a reminder, it's this or that. 5 questions, no explanation, rapid fire. Ready? Okay. Overpack or underpack?
Overpack.
American classes or London classes?
London.
Spontaneous exploring or planned itineraries?
Spontaneous exploring.
Request a roommate or get assigned one?
Get assigned one.
Relive the IC London program in the fall again for the first time or try a completely different semester somewhere else?
I would definitely relive the program. It was so amazing, so healing. I know I'm not supposed to explain. Is that the last?
No,
we
we can explain for the last. I always like to end can you share a fun story or an experience out in London that you couldn't have gotten here?
I was going through a lot of mental health battles the previous semester, and over the summer it did not stop. But being able to go to London, and whether or not I was overdoing it a little bit is a different question, but being able to just go out, be myself in a new country, not having to worry about social pressures at Ithaca, and yes, it is a very small group that you have to interact with school. There's still so many people outside of school that you have the possibility to meet, and that is the biggest thing for me, and just completely life-changing.
Okay, well, Rylan, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Nathan Glasser is a junior television photography and digital media major. He participated in the IC London program the spring of his sophomore year. Listen as Nathan shares how studying abroad in London benefited his education, how he navigated homesickness, and his reaction to the culture shock traveling from America to the UK. So Nathan, you chose to study abroad spring of your sophomore year in London. Many students choose to study abroad their junior year rather than their sophomore year. Can you take me back to that decision? What pushed you to study abroad sophomore year, and what drew you to London in particular?
I had a couple of friends who planned on going together, and my roommate and I were very good friends with them, and they were persuading us to go with them. And one night, my roommate and I were talking, and he says, "Do you think we should do it?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "I'll do it if you do it." And I was like, okay, if 2 of my good friends are going and one of my friends says he'll go if I go, why not go myself? So I was like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I was in London once before for a high school trip, and I loved it. So being able to live in such a big city that I loved going to before, and just being with my friends and exploring another country and just being by myself with my friends is something that drew me, and I knew it would be an experience I would never forget.
Yeah, of course. course. And like the weeks leading up to like, getting on that plane, like studying abroad, going out of the country for the first time, living somewhere new. Like, how did you prepare?
I I watched a lot of TikToks about other people's times abroad, especially in London. See like how they dealt with it. Like see any recommendations in London, and there were also some Zoom meetings for once you got into the London Center, they helped prepare for you. They told you like what types of documents you needed, helped with your living situation, told you like money situation and stuff like that. And yeah, so there was just between like doing your own research on the internet, social media, and just having the resources here at Ithaca that helped me be prepared for being able to study abroad.
Yeah. That's amazing. So as a student, how did studying abroad in London benefit your education?
It made me realize how other systems work in other countries, like how like people experience education in others, and getting a new culture, learning that because I've lived in the U.S. before this my whole life, so just seeing how another country's education system works was definitely interesting. And I took a lot of classes there based on the UK culture. Like I took sports in the UK, I took British media and society, I took British comedy. So all these, just learning about the culture in London and the UK was definitely interesting because it taught me another culture that I was kind of familiar with, but helped me like deepen that knowledge. And just not only that, studying abroad deepens your knowledge of just like the culture in general, just like walking around, learning what the culture's like, and the history. London has a deep history, so just being there in person, getting to learn a lot of the history there was a lot of fun. Because it's one thing to read about it in your school, but actually to go and like see a Shakespeare play, go see historical sites like the Tower of London was so much fun. So
definitely going into a new country, you have to adapt to like new things. Was there ever a specific moment where there was like culturally you had to adapt?
Yeah, the tube was definitely something to figure out, which is their transportation system. Yeah. It's how we had to get to school, because our flat was like on the other side of the city, so we couldn't just like walk out of our flat and just take a 5-minute walk to the school. We had to act, because our walk to our school would take like an hour and a half, and we don't got that time. Gosh, so we had to take the tube. It shortened it to like about a 20-25 minute trip. So just like learning how to navigate the tube was definitely a challenge at first, and just knowing where to go. To help me with that, I downloaded an app called City Mapper, and you put in the location you're going to, and it already has the current location you're at. So you just put in the location you want to go to, and it will tell you like which 2 stops to take to get you to the place you're going to. So that was very helpful. So after honestly like about a week, I realized the tube was really, really easy. It's, I think, one of the best like transportation systems in the world. And so once I was used to it, it was easy peasy. I was obviously the first week I was going with friends just to make it sure I was doing it right, like play it safe. But once I like had it down, I was going to places all by myself, taking the tube all by myself. So it was a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about your academic experience. Through your classes, you had the opportunity to visit the UK Netflix headquarters, the Friends Experience in Wimbledon. Yeah. Out of those, which one impacted you the most creatively?
I think definitely probably Netflix, because I'm a television major, and Netflix is big in TV, and just knowing that Netflix has a bunch of headquarters in a lot of areas around the world, and the guy who gave us the talk while we were there, I think he was from America and he moved to London. So just seeing that like someone from America can move to London and work with a company that they really love as inspiring, and like shows that I can like do something like that too. I can move to London if I want to, and like pursue a job that I'm interested in.
I also kind of want to pivot here. You've mentioned you experienced homesickness while in London. How did you navigate that, especially being so far from home and with the time difference?
Yeah, so just to navigate that, I would have some photos of my family and friends from back home and like hang them on a little like shelf or like the windowsill to like remind them. And I would schedule calls with like my friends and family back home. So just like keeping up like with your friends and family back home, so like you're still like with them and you can be able to talk to them. So just having a set time, knowing that like I'll be able to talk to them this time during the week is something I can look forward to make sure like I'm not missing home and help with my homesickness.
Yeah. What advice would you give to students who are thinking about studying abroad in London but aren't sure when to go or are worried about being so far from home?
So I don't think there's really any good time to go. Just like go whenever you think is, like I said, just go do it. If you have thoughts, just go do it. People will always give you reasons not to go, but I think it's important to go to help you with your growth and stuff.
If you could leave the listeners like with one like fun story abroad or like something that you remember living in London and that was just such great memory for you.
The great thing about abroad is that you'll meet people from all over, and so that's why I also think it's important to go out and travel. You'll meet people from all over the world, and so one of my favorite stories is that that I love telling people is that one weekend a couple friends and I went to Greece, and while we were there, we went to Santorini to be exact, and while we were there, we were walking around and we stopped at this cafe, and while we were there, we were sat next to this couple, and they were like in their like maybe like 50s, and we overhear them talking about this place in London, and long story short, we end up talking to them about it, and it turns out that they live in London, and they're originally American and they moved to London, and we were telling them that we were studying abroad in London. And it turns out that they lived down the street from where the London Center was. So that was really funny. And it was right a couple of weeks before Easter, so they invited us to their house for Easter. And it was crazy. They just invited us to their Easter party, and we became really good friends with them, and so good of friends that they ended up letting us stay with them for spring break this past year. And just, they let us stay, so it was really nice of them. We were keep in touch, obviously, now, even after a year later, so it's really funny. And so just, it's fun because you make friends when you study abroad, and that's why I think studying abroad is important, because it makes you get to talk to people and makes you, I feel, more extroverted. It makes you get out of your comfort zone and talk to people.
Yeah, like you got to meet new people and expand your network, and you never know down the line if like, they can help you out with something or you can help them. Like,
for sure, you never know.
Yeah, like you never know. Okay, well, thank you so much, Nathan.
Of course.
We're gonna go to our podcast game segment. Ooh. It's called This or That. It's rapid fire, no explanations.
Okay.
Just say off the top of your head whatever you'd go with. Okay, you ready?
I got it.
Netflix headquarters or Friends experience?
Netflix headquarters.
America or the UK?
UK.
Class field trips or exploring the city with friends?
Exploring the city with friends.
Jet lag or homesickness?
Jet lag.
American slang or British slang?
British slang. It's so funny.
British slang also. What's your favorite British slang term?
I don't know if I can say it now, but keep it appropriate.
This is PG.
Like PG. I like hello, governor, and like I think that hello, governor is so funny to me.
Hello, governor.
And yeah.
Imagine saying that in America. Hello, governor.
Yeah, that and cheers. I love it. Cheers, mate. Cheers. That's always a fun one. Classic
London. Everyone needs to go to London now to say cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Exactly.
Hello, governor.
Hello, governor.
Yeah. Okay, well, Nathan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for listening to Beyond IC. Beyond IC is an Ithacan podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and at theithacan.org.